What's up everyone, Video Box from TeemTHE, and this is our next installment of TeemTHE card discussions. The card that I want to talk about today is Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It recently came out in Cross Souls, and it is currently one of the most sought after cards in the set. Now, there's a lot of hype going on with this card, and hopefully this discussion will help you decide for yourselves whether it's a card you want to use for yourself or not. For starters, let's go over its stats and its attributes and whatnot. So it is a level 3 light attribute monster. It's a psychic, a tuner, and has 0 attack and 1800 defense. And its effect reads as follows. During either player's turn, when a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell/trap card that is already face up on the field activates its effect, you can send this card from your hand or your side of the field to the graveyard. Destroy that card on the field. You can only use this effect of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit once per turn. So right off the bat, it's a psychic tuner and it is level 3, which means that it is searchable by cards such as Emergency Teleport, so that already has some good synergy with it. It can already fit in decks that use this card extensively, like Ritual Beasts. But however, the main appeal for this card is pretty much its ability to be splashed into many decks, you know, as a lot of other hand traps like Maxi, Effect Veiler, Gorz the Emissary of Darkness, among other cards. But despite this, there are actually a few cons to this card. Like, the most noticeable one is that if you read its effect carefully, it doesn't actually negate the card that it is destroying. So chances are, if you use this against a monster effect, that monster effect more than likely will resolve still. Even though you destroy the actual monster itself, the effect isn't actually negated. And you can also couple that with certain spell and trap cards that don't actually that can't be affected by this card. Basically, continuous or face-up spell and traps that only have their effects activated as they're placed face-up on the field. Because Snow Rabbit can only destroy spell or trap cards that have already been face-up and activate their effects. So certain examples of cards that it can't stop would include Fire Formation Tanky, which only adds a Beast Warrior upon activation. Call the Haunted, which special summons a monster from the grave only when it's first flipped up. Vanity's Emptiness, in which all of its effects are continuous except the one where it self-destructs. And then Skill Drain is another example where all of its effects are continuous. But even with these glaring holes, you really have to focus on what this card actually can stop, and then you'll actually begin to see what makes this card pretty decent, if not a staple in most decks at the moment. Like, for instance, it does, as I said before, it does stop spell and trap cards that do activate after they've been face up. Some key examples would include Blaze Accelerator Reload, which is extensively used in volcanic decks. Black Whirlwind. Blackwings kind of saw a rise in play after Premium Gold 2. Nephishadal Fusion, the effect that you use to fusion summon with the equip card is an effect that activates. And this card has seen an increase in play due to the water fusion that recently came out. And another example, Lose One Turn. The only effect that activates after its face up is the one where it switches a special summon monster to defense position if summoned in attack mode. So this card will see a lot of play in the long run as well, so which makes this card pretty useful. But as I mentioned before, like, if you use Ghost Ogre against a monster effect, chances are it will be a -1 in terms of actual card advantage, but there are times where it actually is worth it to use it to disrupt an opponent's play. Some key examples would be Tour Guide. Let's say the normal summon Tour Guide, it would go to their usual play, get a random BA monster, and then overlay into Dante. If you use Ghost Ogre to chain to Tour Guide's effect, Tour Guide will be destroyed. However, the monster still comes out, but regardless, the monster still does come out, but the opponent would still have to use another resource to make that same play You know, basically it stops them just a little bit. They have to waste another card they normally wouldn't want to waste. So there's a user there. And then Elemental Hero Shadow Mist. Let's say this card was special summoned by either Goblinberg or Summoner Monk, and then they want to search out their mask change. You can use Ghost Ogre to chain to Shadow Mist, destroy the Shadow Mist. Granted, they still get their mask change, but chances are they would have wanted to use the mask change on Shadow Mist to get either Master Hero Darklaw or Anki out. So it basically sets them back just a little bit. And then another key thing that it can really hinder is the Star Seraph Scepter and Sovereignty combo. So basically, when you normal this, you want to go through the motions of special summoning the Sovereignty in your hand. If you chain Ghost Ogre to destroy the Scepter, sure they'll get their Sovereignties out, but at the same time, they wouldn't be able to use some of the Sovereignties because you need to use 3 monsters in order for that combo to go off properly. But yeah, those are some examples of what where the -1 actually comes in handy. But there are some monster effects where if you use Ghost Ogre, it actually just completely nullifies it in general. Like for example, number 101 Silent Honor Arc. If you use it against an Honor Arc where it attempts to steal your special summon monster, it has to detach its 2 materials in order to activate its effect. So by the time you chain Ghost Ogre to in response to Silent Honor Arc, it doesn't have any materials in which to protect itself. So the monster effectively does die on the chain resolution, and what happens to the monster that it's trying to take is will no longer become a material, because the monster that it would attach itself to is no longer on the field. So it can actually stop Silent Honor Arc if they're trying to take your monster. Another key effect that it can actually stop is Necros of Trishula. I actually don't have the card in front of me, so I'm just going to use an unopened Secret Forces German box to show Trishula. But basically how the combo works is that if this is the only card in your hand, and granted you have a graveyard and field, if they use Trishula's effect to try to banish one of each, and you chain this to Trishula's effect, granted it won't negate Trishula's effect, but if this is the only card in your hand, Trishula's effect won't be able to resolve properly because it has to banish one from each place. And on top of that, Ghost Ogre actually destroys the monster itself, so not only does it effectively stop the effect, it destroys the monster as well, which is something that Effect Veiler effectively cannot do. But I think looking at all the key points of this card, it really does depend on the situation you're in and how you choose to use this card. But at the same time, you know, just like with any other card, you kind of have to play it to the best of your ability or to the best of the situation you're in. But I think ultimately, in my opinion, this card pretty much is here to stay for a while. It may increase or decrease in price, I really don't know. You probably won't know until after the 150th YCS, and I guess the LA Regional for those who can't make the 150th YCS. But I mean, try out the card for yourself, see how others use it, and then, you know, make your opinion for yourself. But if you feel like I missed anything on this card, feel free to let me know, comment. I read, or me and my teammates do read the comments, and then we just kind of take it into consideration and all that. But this is my discussion on Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and yeah, until next time, peace out guys.